Hello and welcome to today's Windows 365 webinar. We're excited to have you here and look forward to demonstrating the value and capabilities of Windows 365. We're going to be exploring how it can help you support a diverse set of users scenarios and maintain control of sensitive data and services at the same time. Before we go through individual introductions, I would like to start with a brief review of KiZAN Technologies. So we are a Microsoft National Solutions partner with over 30 years of experience working with Microsoft solutions. We hold 9 advanced specializations, including in modern management, and this represents our ability to provide best-in-class design and deployment services. And we strive to be your trusted partner and help you drive the growth and success of your business. So I am Kurt. I am the practice lead for the security, compliance, identity, and management team here at KiZAN. And I've been with the organization for over 15 years with over 20 years total device provisioning and management experience. Over those years, specifically in the device management space, I've seen many challenges, and I'm looking forward to reviewing Windows 365 with you today to explore how it can address some of the requirements modern organizations can struggle to address. Also with us today, we have Nate. He is the principal consultant for device management on my team, and he has been with the organization for over 10 years with over 15 years total experience working with solutions like SCCM, Intune, and Windows 365. In that time, he's had a lot of background and valuable knowledge regarding support of users and devices in challenging scenarios, including high turnover user populations and the need to enforce strict controls over device and information access, based on some of his previous experience in the education space. Also with us is Ajoy, who is a technology specialist at Microsoft with a focus on the AEC industry. He recently joined Microsoft, and prior to that, successfully led a digital transformation at Suffolk Construction as their Senior Director of IT and Innovation, where he managed the infrastructure, operations, and innovation areas and worked closely with the cybersecurity team. In that role, he developed strategies around frontline workers in collaboration with external and third-party entities like subcontractors. So now that you know a little bit more about us, let's go ahead and dive into what Windows 365 is and how you can leverage it to optimize end user support. So first, we're going to start with an overview of the agenda, and then we'll get into the specific topics here. We are initially going to take a look at the Windows 365 in construction specifically, and Ajoy is going to lead that portion of the conversation. After that, we're going to take a look at the components that go into supporting Windows 365, including Windows 11 and Intune, and how their individual strengths are leveraged to provide an optimal Windows 365 experience. After that, we'll look in 2 brief pre-recorded videos covering Windows 365 itself, and then we've got a live demonstration that's going to be presented by Nate. After that, we'll take a quick look at the types of services KiZAN can provide to assist you in your Windows 365 journey. And lastly, we'll open things up for questions and also detail some exclusive offers that you're entitled to by taking part in this event. So we appreciate your interest and want to make sure that you get the most value out of this. So please make sure you stick around, ask questions, and get eyes on those opportunities. With that, I'll turn things over to Ajoy, who comes with a lot of institutional knowledge. So let's hear his take on the benefits for Windows 365 in construction. Ajoy, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Curtis, and good morning, everyone. So as Curtis mentioned, I worked at Suffolk Construction. I led their IT. And so I have a unique perspective of the customer value as well as from a construction standpoint. So just some high-level things that I've found over the course of leading the IT team at Suffolk Construction, some of the reasons why we looked at Windows 365. And, I start with data security. One of the big things about having all your VDI, the cloud, having it within your environment, you can have better controls over data loss prevention, over your data, where is it going, who's taking it out, etc. Another big use case, CAD files. With as folks in construction know, when you're dealing with CAD files, you need computers with high GPU. The idea behind having this in the cloud is sharing resources, right? Managing your resources properly on demand as you need it right? So if you're rendering files, you can, increase your NVIDIA GPU power if needed or anything like that. A hybrid workforce program, given that the desktops are in the cloud, people can, try to access them from anywhere, from the job site, from the office, whether they're traveling. Obviously, they need an internet connection, but it allowed us to mobilize that workforce much faster, right? And when you think about operational efficiency and predictability, right, it's about the financial aspect of this program, right? So usually a CFO will ask, okay, how do I make sure that this is a predictable model so that if the CFO doesn't usually like too many spikes in expenditures, whether it's OpEx or CapEx, right? And this allows you to kind of either categorize things as OpEx or CapEx, but you can be more predictable and efficient. From a disaster recovery standpoint and business continuity, what I found is, if there's something goes on with a job for some reason, the job has to stop. For example, in Florida, when hurricane season happens, all the cranes have to be shut down. There's a lot of harnessing that has to happen. But there's still things that can be done on a job to keep a project moving. However, sometimes it's difficult for folks to find connectivity, etc. So what we found is from a disaster recovery business continuity standpoint, this has been very helpful. People can work from anywhere and access their desktops, access their files. Um, and that extends to the temporary workforces too, because a job is, folks know, is not necessarily just a general contractor, but there are a lot of subcontractors involved. Managing that, the subcontractors from a standpoint of their PC, then onboarding process, offboarding, and just being able to scale up and down is very important. One of the biggest use cases, mergers and acquisitions. How do you go faster? How do you merge a company that you just acquired faster into your environment, right? So this technology literally gives you an ability to give your end users a laptop much faster and figure out that migration strategy faster. And then last but not the least, if you're doing any government related bids, right, the federal regulatory compliance, our focus on GCC, which is the government cloud, essentially helps you go faster and opens up your access to federally funded projects, right? So there are a lot of requirements, NIST requirements that you have to go through, and our Windows 365 desktops are compliant. So from a construction standpoint, these are some of the high level use cases that I have seen in my career, and the ways to bring this forth to a CIO or even the business partner to make a case. I found these very helpful. Curtis.
All right. Thank you, sir. Now we're going to take a look at some of the underlying components that help make Windows 365 tick. So first and foremost, we of course have the core operating system itself. And taking a look at Windows 11, I'm not going to go through this line by line or anything like that, but just to highlight a couple of the items. Hybrid workforces definitely benefit from flexibility, of course, and the ability to leverage multiple different device types, hardware formats, and use cases is extremely valuable. And Windows 11 has a lot of advanced features and capabilities that help address those types of needs and use cases. And of course, it also integrates natively with existing tool sets. In our particular case for today, that does include Intune and the Windows 365 infrastructure itself, as well as the ability to leverage personalized deployment scenarios. And we do also have the ability to have one-stop administration through Endpoint Manager for those use cases and those endpoint devices. Beyond that, of course, we also have the option of leveraging something like Azure Virtual Desktop. So kind of have three different scenarios on screen here, with the left side being your traditional physical device, our center column being Windows 365 that we're going to be focusing on today. And then on the right-hand side, Azure Virtual Desktop, which provides a little bit more flexibility, but does require quite a bit of additional administrative overhead in comparison to Windows 365. From a features and capabilities perspective, a couple of things noteworthy with Windows 11 is the integration and ability to leverage universal print. So this is the ability to allow for the printing of data and information from a multitude of different devices up to and including mobile apps and mobile devices themselves, so smartphones, tablets, things like that. And this capability is available through both the full apps as well as through the mobile apps. And that support is continuing to grow for cross-platform printing scenarios. That investment, along with the integrations of the security substack, allows for deeper control of the data that your users are interacting with on these devices, and the ability to control where that data goes, how it's being accessed, where it can be taken to, and how or when it can be manipulated. And then, of course, we also have on the back end the ability to manage the overall security and functionality of the system through things like Windows Auto Patch, which provides a managed service for patching, or Windows Update for Business, which allows you that granularity of control to make sure that you're servicing your devices as needed, devices are staying in a controlled and secured state, but you're not negatively impacting your end user population, and you're allowing for whatever criteria and whatever exceptions or exclusions might be needed to ensure that your overall workloads are able to function as expected without drawing downtime or anything like that based on your servicing model. The last item we'll touch on here is Endpoint Manager itself. So if you're not familiar, this is a suite of solutions now that Microsoft provides that allow you to fully manage and control your endpoint devices, application workloads, and really everything related to them. There is deep native integration between Intune, Configuration Manager, Azure Active Directory Premium, and various other workloads. And with this integration, we can do things like ensuring devices are securely managed, that they're appropriately configured, that they're meeting our standards and baselines, that we are getting reporting and compliance data on those devices and their workloads. And from that, with the integration with things like Azure Active Directory, we can leverage conditional access and various other security controls to put gates or hurdles in place so that we're confident with the fact that devices that are accessing our sensitive data are appropriately configured, are meeting our organizational standards, or we can provide restricted or limited access in certain scenarios, or just outright block access in the event that a device simply does not meet our standards, or there's some other business reason to restrict that access. And one other key thing to keep in mind with Intune in particular is that it is a cloud-native management solution and also has the ability to manage devices and endpoints over the internet natively as well. This can be key for scenarios where you've got folks out at work sites, you've got folks moving between different physical locations, maybe switching from Wi-Fi to cellular service and back and forth, or occasionally even just being disconnected, particularly in cases where work sites don't have other connectivity options available. Even with that intermittent connectivity, Intune and its related services are still able to support the management and security of those devices and workloads, and make sure that you're getting that up-to-date reporting on what the overall status of your endpoint estate looks like. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Windows 365 in action. We've got two pre-recorded videos, the Windows 365 introduction, and then the IT admin experience. And then we'll hand things over to Nate for the live demo.
This is a cloud PC. And so is this. And this. And this. Now any device can be a cloud PC with Windows 365. Hybrid work is here. With Windows in the cloud, embrace flexibility in how, when, and where you work. Streaming your personalized Windows experience from the Microsoft Cloud. Your cloud PC is always current, so pick up where you left off. All your apps, content, and settings ready wherever your work takes you. Integrated management and security, with everything in the cloud. Scale on demand to meet your needs, with company-owned or personal devices, all one seamless experience with just a few clicks to deploy. The world of work has changed, so we're changing how you get Windows. Streamed from the cloud to any device to unlock your business's full potential. Hybrid Windows for a hybrid world. Welcome to Windows 365.
All right. So the key takeaway there is just that Windows 365 enables you to work across all endpoint devices, both BYD or BYOD, excuse me, as well as organizationally owned devices. And now we're going to take a look at the administrative experience.
Let's start with Windows 365, the newest way to get a secure, personal, and complete Windows experience streamed from the cloud to any device. With the power of Windows 365, you can provide the flexibility of a cloud PC without adding the complication to your management story. You just go to Microsoft Endpoint Manager, where you can manage Windows 365 along with all your other endpoints. In here, you have full visibility and control of your Windows 365 Cloud PC fleet. You can see all your provisioned cloud PCs, keep tabs on which cloud PCs need licenses assigned, or even provision a new cloud PC with a few clicks. So let's go ahead and create one. Creating a new group of cloud PCs is really as easy as filling out a form and boom, you're done. So let's do just that. First, we'll give this group a name. We are migrating our North American servicing technicians over to cloud PCs so that they can access their critical applications that contain sensitive customer information without needing to store any of that data on their device. So let's name it Servicing Tech's Cloud PCs. The top requested Windows 365 feature that we hear from so many of our customers is supporting AAD join for cloud PCs. We are super excited for this to be in public preview, as it really completed our cloud provisioning story by combining the power of AAD join with autopilot. So now we can just select the right region for our new cloud PCs. Now I can choose the right Windows experience by either choosing a custom image or selecting which Windows 11 experience Carl needs from our catalog. What's great is that I can easily choose and deploy Microsoft 365 apps as well. It's really as easy as just choosing from a list. I can also choose the right group to assign these cloud PCs. So I keep my users nice and grouped. I can just assign the North American Service Techs group, and that's literally it. I can now review the choices I have made, and if I'm happy that I got everything right, I'm ready to create the policy. There are so many optimizations that we've made here in Endpoint Manager to make it just so simple and flexible to manage your Windows 365 Enterprise Cloud PCs just like you would a physical PC, keeping things consistent and simple.
All right. And again, I think the main takeaway there is just that it really is designed to be a highly optimized and efficient solution for provisioning devices to your endpoints or for your end users. And particularly in BYOD scenarios, you can very easily provision, but still have that tight level of control and management that is needed in most business scenarios. So with that said, now, I'm going to hand the floor over to Nate. Sir, the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning. Can you folks see my screen okay?
Coming through good.
Awesome. So I'm going to be providing the Windows 365 demo today. First, we're going to start with the end user experience, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Intune Admin Center. So this wasn't necessarily intended, but I'm kind of benefiting from the flexibility of Windows 365 this morning. Unfortunately, in our area, we've had some pretty rough weather, and it's a bit of a challenge to find a place with power. So I typically work from a workstation, a desktop, and today I'm working from my laptop. And Windows 365 makes it easy for me to, provide this demo from anywhere. So we'll go ahead and start here. You can see the Windows 365 web portal. The easiest way to direct a user to their cloud PC is by sending them to windows365.microsoft.com. When they have a cloud PC provisioned to them, or multiple cloud PCs for that matter, they'll see them listed here under Your Cloud PCs. We have some opportunity to provide additional functionality for these devices. You can select here. We can, remotely restart this PC. We can also rename it if necessary, and we can provide the option for them to select a restore point. So if I want to restore to an earlier time, I can select it here from a list of available restore points. Good scenario for this would be if I'm working with custom software, or have accidentally made a wrong configuration with an application. Say I'm designing something, forgot to save it. We can restore to that earlier time and hopefully get back to work. The easiest way for a user to access their cloud PC is by simply clicking Open in Browser. When you do that, you'll come directly into the cloud PC. The experience is very similar to any other desktop experience. You can see here, I can pick up right where I left off. I was in the middle of editing a document yesterday, and also I've been collaborating on Teams a little bit. Another benefit that we get from Windows 365 is being connected directly through Microsoft's network. You can see here I ran a speed test earlier, and I've got wonderful connectivity. On a day like today, my connectivity isn't always guaranteed. As long as I've got an internet connection, I can get to my cloud PC, and I know that I'm always going to have a high quality connection from that cloud PC. You can also see here, I've got a screenshot. I spent a little bit of time with this cloud PC on my iPad yesterday as well, and the experience is seamless there. If you didn't have an Apple logo on the iPad, you wouldn't know it was an Apple device. It works pretty well. Just connect a keyboard and get right back to work. So moving back to our Windows 365 portal here, we've talked about our web experience, and you guys have seen what that looks like. We can also have our end users download a remote desktop application. This will give them more integrated experience. This is available for Windows devices, Mac devices, Android devices, and iOS devices, like I just mentioned. Moving on to our Intune Admin Center demonstration, you can see here, I've got the Admin Center opened up. We would access this by selecting Devices and then under Provisioning, Windows 365. On the overview page, we can quickly see if we have devices that have failed in provisioning or are in a grace period and may need a license reapplied. We also have some reports at our fingertips. Unfortunately, I don't have reporting data in there for us to look at today, but we can check on connection performance, and we can check on resource performance for those devices to make sure that our end users are having a good experience. I'll go through a couple of these policies. As you saw in the earlier demonstration, at a minimum, we just need to create a provisioning policy for these users to get started, but we can also create some additional policies to add some flexibility to that cloud PC. So under our user settings policy, we can, in certain cases, provide local administrative access for those end users that would be leveraging that PC. And then I also demonstrated the restore service. We can make that available to the user, or we can keep that available just to the administrators. We can also control the frequency of that restore service. So if we only need, occasional backups, we can do that. Or if we want them more frequently, we can move it all the way down to every 4 hours. The Azure network connection is also optional, but what this does is it allows us to connect to Azure infrastructure. That infrastructure may be connected back to on-premises as well. That gives us the flexibility to, get back to work, whether it's, cloud infrastructure or infrastructure, like I said, on premises. So in this case, we're connected to KiZAN's network, and I do have access to some databases and workloads in that subscription there. Custom images are optional. Microsoft uses both default and custom operating system images to create the virtual cloud PCs that you guys provide to your end users. The default images are available from that gallery that we saw in the earlier provisioning policy demo. And if we need to, we can create these custom images. An example of a use case here would be for high workloads or highly customized workloads. I have a customer who has imaging software that's very large. I think it's exceeding 20 gigabytes, and it requires a lot of registry and configuration changes that are manually done. So it's not really feasible for every end user to go in and pre-configure that. And for them, it made sense to build a custom image. So for some of their users in Windows 365, they have a custom image. And then for the rest of them, we just provided a gallery image. And I'll revisit the provisioning policy here. Again, this is kind of the core of the tool here. So these are created and assigned to users. The policy kind of holds the key provisioning rules and settings that let Windows service set up and configure the right cloud PC for those users. So after these policies are created and assigned to either a security group or a Microsoft 365 group, the Windows 365 service is going to check and make sure that user has appropriate licensing, and then it's going to go ahead and configure that cloud PC for the user. I believe in that demo, they showed Azure AD Join was under preview. It's now general population, so we can use it. We don't have to worry about it being in preview. We also have the opportunity to leverage hybrid Azure AD Join, so that is connected back to on-premises Active Directory as well as Azure Active Directory, gives us quite a bit of flexibility. And then, like I mentioned, we can either connect to that Azure network connection, or we can connect to the Microsoft hosted network. We have a multitude of gallery images available. So we have different versions of Windows 11 and Windows 10. We have the opportunity to select one with OS optimizations or add in Microsoft 365 apps to expedite the provisioning of these cloud PCs. And then, of course, we can also select a custom image if that suits our needs better. We can also select the language and region for these PCs, so they're provisioned with the tools that users need to get going quickly. We can also provide a custom naming template. So if we have multiple provisioning policies for multiple use cases, we can give them a different naming convention and quickly identify them in the portal. We can also leverage Windows Auto Patch. That requires some additional configuration outside of the Windows 365 service, but it would help keep our devices up to date with the most recent security and quality updates. Under the All Cloud PCs section, we can take a look at any PCs that have been provisioned, have failed to provision, or need some attention. So any cloud PC that we need to manage can be easily selected here. We get pretty good information at our fingertips. We can see what policy, what image is being used, and what type of license is assigned to that device. Once we have our policies applied to the user, the only thing we need to do to get a cloud PC up and running is assign a license. So if we want additional resources or we want a specific resource level for those users, we just assign that appropriate license that corresponds with that. So we would have a different license for 4 CPUs versus 2 CPUs, and it makes it really easy for us to get moving, get those users working from their cloud PC. Once the device is provisioned, we can manage it just like we would with any other Windows PC. inside of Intune. So we do have some additional controls when we're on the device level ping here, but we'll go through those real quick. Like I mentioned before, the user, if we choose, can restore their own PC, or we can have that action facilitated by an administrator. If we need to wipe out that PC and start over, we can reprovision it. Again, this is destructive. It essentially builds them a fresh cloud PC, but this can be useful in certain scenarios. If we find that the user is outpacing their resources and need additional RAM or additional storage space, we can resize that PC as well. This requires the appropriate license be available in the tenant, but it's as easy as one click if we've got those licenses there. And finally, we have the opportunity to place a cloud PC under review. So if you guys had a digital forensics request, you can provide them a snapshot to take a look at this PC. We can also configure if that PC is allowed to be accessed during that time. So if we want to block access for the end user while it's being investigated, we can do that also. From a device security standpoint, we, again, can control these devices much like we would any other PC. We have the ability to assign policy from the Intune portal. If we want to configure antivirus or configure conditional access policies. One of my customers recently requested that their contractors only be able to access Microsoft 365 services through that cloud PC. So we built a conditional access policy to restrict that. We also have some security baselines applied to that PC, and this lets us keep that device hardened without impacting the usability of it. Additionally, if we need other applications or we need policies applied to these devices, we can come right in here and get those deployed just like we would with any other Windows PC. That concludes my demo for today. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer it or show it here on screen.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Go ahead and get the presentation rolling again here. So a couple final items we wanted to touch on, a couple of the services that we can offer, as well as that incentive that I mentioned at the start of the session here. So now that we've covered Windows 365 and what it is, what it looks like, and how it can assist organizations such as yours, we're going to take a look at how my team can assist you in exploring and or implementing the solution itself. One of the options that we have available is the Windows 365 Accelerator. This is a package solution that we built based on our experience working with multiple organizations, as well as using our standards and practices. And this solution enables an organization to rapidly benefit from the capabilities of Windows 365 via prescriptive project structure. So we've already got it all built out and prepped to go. We validated it. We've worked through it with multiple organizations, and we found great success with it. Alternatively, we can always provide bespoke project services scoped to your specific organizational requirements, timelines, and budget. So both of these options are delivered by experienced consultants like Nate, meaning you benefit from best practices as well as real-world lessons learned, and we can provide those based on our experiences working with numerous organizations across many different verticals. So as far as everything we've covered today and some of the next steps that we could potentially look at here, just for taking part in this event, we can offer a discount rate on new subscriptions. So 15% is the minimum discount. Depending on the number of seats that are involved, larger discounts are potentially available. And these discounts are good for the entire term of the subscription. If you have interest in getting more information on that or discussing what that would look like, please don't hesitate to reach out to us for additional information. Alternatively, there is also the option to leverage free trial licensing. This gives you a limited time frame, but does give you the ability to get hands-on with the solution within your organizational infrastructure and tenants and evaluate its specific use cases within your broader environmental needs. We also have the Next Gen Windows Workshop. This workshop focuses on Windows 11 and Windows 365 solutions. It is a prescriptive workshop, but it does absolutely give you a deeper insight into the capabilities, optimizations, and administrative benefits of these workloads and solutions. And much like everything else we've discussed, this is delivered by my team. We do it within your environment unless you defer to place it in a test or trial environment. And as previously mentioned, KiZAN can provide consultative services via prescriptive or customized engagements. And that allows you to leverage our experience and expertise to streamline your evaluation or implementation of Windows 365, with the ideal goal being that you achieve a rapid ROI and you get this solution out to your end users in an efficient and optimized manner. So we appreciate your time today, as well as your attention. We hope this session has been informative, and we look forward to assisting you with Windows 365 or any Microsoft services support you may need. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to throw them in the chat or reach out to us directly. We'll be happy to assist. And again, we appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.